Yoshrei Beitecha, Od Yehalelu Chasela, Ashrei Yoshrei Beitecha, Od Yehalelu Chasela, joyous, dwelling in the one, home is in my heart, joyous, dwelling in the one, home is in my heart. Ashrei, Ashrei Beitecha, Od Yehalelu Chasela, Ashrei, Ashrei Beitecha, Od Yehalelu Chasela, joyous, dwelling in the one, home is in my heart. Ashrei, Yoshrei Beitecha, Od Yehalelu Chasela, Ashrei, Yoshrei Beitecha, Od Yehalelu Chasela. Shalom. I invite you to either remain sitting or stand for this Amidah meditation. Open. Allow the pulse of divine energy to move through you. Surrender the out-breath. Receive the in-breath. Adonai, Sefatai tiftach, Ufi agita lilatecha. Adonai, Sefatai tiftach, Ufi agita lilatecha. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Imachot va'avot. Blessings flow to you and from you, Blessed One, who knew our mothers and our fathers on their soul journeys through this earthly realm. You transcend time and space, yet guide and guard our evolution in consciousness. Let's inhale the essence and exhale an Amen. Gvurot. You are the source of miracles and wonders, giving us courage and strength to explore the mysteries of life and death. Inhale and exhale. Kedusha. Your holy being fills our lives with holiness. Bina. You grace us with knowledge, wisdom, and enlightenment. Teshuvah. Draw us near to the wisdom of Torah as we return to you, seeking wholeness. Smicha, forgive our limitations. With humility, we bear our souls before you. Please notice our struggles and reveal creative solutions to our problems, that we might learn our lessons and move on. Refuah, heal us, save us, help us to choose life. Ha'adamah, bless our Mother Earth and all her bounty. May we be satisfied by simplicity and see the blessings in our years. Chirut, awaken us to the sound of the great shofar. Gather together and lift up all those who are lost and not yet free. Mishpat, restore justice and kindness to every land, and remind us that you are the focus, the balance, the true judge of all our thoughts and actions. Emunah, bring light to those consumed by darkness, who act from fear and anger because they cannot find you within. Tzadikim, we ask that righteousness be its own reward. By sharing what we have and who we are, the gates of abundance are opened. Yerushalayim, may we build Jerusalem as a city where brothers and sisters live together in peace. We welcome you by many names to dwell in our midst. Yeshua, like wildflowers in springtime, may the transforming power of love blossom everywhere. Shomea Tefillah, listen to our voice rise up in prayer, and with compassion, let us know that we are heard. Avodah, receive the prayer of our heart in your heart, and let our eyes witness the wondrous beauty of your presence in this world. Hoda'ah, we thank you for the gift of life, and we entrust ourselves to your care, merciful Creator. Shalom, bless us with the peace of knowing that in your light we are all one. Help me to live a life of balance, to look for the good in all things and refrain from saying what I perceive as bad in others. Soften my ego so that I am not defensive or hurt by unkind words. Open my heart to the revelation of Torah so that I breathe, think, walk, and talk with mindfulness. You who hear my words and my thoughts, please help me to make peace with myself and with all creation. Open my heart to the path of love. Open my mind to the practice of peace. Open my heart to the path of love. Open my mind to the practice of peace. Petach libi b'toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha tirdof nafshi. Petach libi b'toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha Tirdof nafshi. Open my heart to the path of love. Open my mind to the practice of peace. Open my heart to the path of love. Open my mind to the practice of peace.
And we call out to God. God is not God's name. More like a job description, you might say. So many and profound are the Jewish teachings of the names of God. And yet, few have ever asked me what that small word itself might mean. God. Hebrew words are deep and rich and profound layers of meaning. But what does God mean? I had to search. It's not even an English word. The word comes into English through German. Gott. So then I needed to know what that meant. It seems that in German, the word Gott originally meant the invoked, the power that is invoked, suitable for an invocation. To call upon that power which is invoked. To bless us, and bless our Talmidim, our colleagues, and our teachers. We learn in Pirkei Avot, Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua says, Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua Omer, Yehi chavod talmidcha, chaviv alecha cheshelach. May the honor, may the kavod, may the weightiness of your Talmidim be as precious to you as your own. An invitation to us to kvel, to receive nachas from the depth and weightiness of our beloved Talmidim, and the honor of our colleague should be like the reverence for a teacher. L'chvod chavercha chamo rav rabach. When you came into this rabbinic and rabbinic pastor program, we told you that your smicha was not a graduation from an academic program, despite our high academic standards. But that ordination for this program was not a graduation from an academic program, but rather the recognition by a circle of extraordinary teachers, leaders, and guides that you had become their colleague. We welcome you into the circle of our colleagues. The reverence for our teachers, the Morah Rabach K'moras Shamayim, and the reverence for our teachers should be as our reverence for heaven. Rabbi Zalman, you significant measure because of you that we are all here. To stand here and welcome these Talmidim into the circle of your Talmidim is to taste heaven. Are you well invoked? Obey.
There are 10. 10 Jews in search of God. A minyan.
At least one of us was born a man. Yet, not so long ago, 9 of us would not have been considered part of the shleimut, wholeness of creation.
In the Talmud, in Tractate Megillah, there is a whole discussion about the number 10. And quoting from the Torah, from the book of Leviticus, the rabbis concluded that anything that's holy requires 10. Did you get it? But Rabbi Zalman tells us that this story is used only as an asmachta, as a proof or support, and that the real source of the number 10 comes from our 10 fingers.
Well, then, of course, we have many more 10s. 10 generations from Adam to Noah. 10 generations from Noah to Abraham. 10 plagues to put us on the path to freedom. And, of course, the 10 commandments to secure that freedom.
Pirkei Avot, the sayings of our fathers, tells us about many 10s like this. And in the Midrash, we find that a prayer has 10 languages, and so does prophecy.
And then, of course, we have the 10 spheroid.
So, a minyan consists of 10 people. It is wonderful that for our smikhah minyan, there is one man among us women. Because as much as feminine energy is essential, we still need the masculine for balance.
So who are we, this minyan, gathered here today, about to receive Smicha? This is who we are.
Our collective age is 505 years. Wow. In Gematria, 505, the sum of these digits, is 10. And its dominion is us. And 10, 1 plus 0 equals 1. 1 within 1.
We have gathered Bnei Arba Kanfot Haaretz from the 4 corners of the world. We are from Israel, Argentina, South Africa, Canada, Holland, and America.
Together, we have 17 children, 4 stepchildren, and 4 grandchildren.
We're a highly educated group. We've got 2 PhDs, 6 master's degrees, 2 law degrees. We are a psychologist, a nutritionist, an herbalist, a nurse, a midwife, a doctor, a rabbi, a judge, a chazan, and a yoga teacher.
Furthermore, we have among us 2 authors, a playwright, and a mediation counselor, and a practitioner of integrated Kabbalistic healing. We are all teachers, and most of us have, at one time or another, been bar and bat mitzvah tutors.
Our prior careers include selling flowers on the street, a bagel maker, a rock and roll executive, an insurance underwriter, an actor, an artist, a door-to-door Bible salesman, a judge, a newspaper salesperson, a cook, and a rodeo rider.
And it wasn't me.
Together, we own at least 35 talitot, more than 260 people.
Together, we have spent over 57 years in Israel, and a fourth of us consider the Kotel our favorite place to daven. Davening in nature is another biggie, as is prayer at the shores of the Kinneret.
Herman Hess and Abraham Joshua Heschel, our favorite authors, but Reb Zalman tops our list with our great appreciation.
Most of us did not have an idea what they wanted to be when they grew up. But some of us did. We wanted to be an artist, an actor, a singer. Sounds like a description of a rabbi. A ballerina, and a writer. One of us wanted to be a mathematician at the age of 10, an environmentalist at the age of 20, a nutritionist at the age of 25, an artist at 30, a rabbi at 40, and a chaplain at 51. Another of us always knew that we wanted to be good people, and 2 of us wanted to be nuns.
And today is the 15th of the month of Tevet, a full moon and the brightest moon of the year. And as Yehoshua was the moon to Moshe's son, we, the 10 of us, are the moon, the reflection of Reb Zalman's son.
So here we are, humbly standing or sitting before you, 10. 10 Jews in search of God, a minyan, seeking our shlemut, our wholeness.
היום יום ראשון בשבת, שבת שמות, שבת אקסודוס. Exodus from what? Exodus from
Each of
where?
us, it seems, is on a journey of liberation, of awakening to our truest self. Adonai takes us out of Egypt every day of our life. We want to start this ceremony, this journey, for the protection of Shekhinah and by linking to God. We sit on the shoulders of giants and follow in their footsteps. We give thanks to our mothers and our fathers and to our teachers, some of whose name we know and some of whose names we lost over time. We acknowledge the lineage of the Baal Shem Tov, which has carried through to our own Reb Zaidi Zalman and all the teachers who have taught us. We form a link in a long and timeless journey from slavery to freedom in time, space, and in timeless presence. We hold a flame in our hearts, a flame of transformation, of paradigm shifting, until we are aware and alive to God's presence all around us.
Each of us took a different, unique journey, a journey of awakening in order to be here. And this is what we want to share with you.
Shemot, names. Ita Razel, Edith Robin. My parents gave me these names at birth. Edith for my mother's sister, who died young from cancer. Robin came from another maternal relative, though she's been lost to me. My mother nicknamed me Dee Dee, always spelled with one E, and that's what my family always called me. My teachers used my formal, old-fashioned name. Who was Edith, anyway? I never felt in my own skin when people called me that. In second grade, my cousin Phyllis asked our teacher to call me Dee. What a revelation! Till then, I never knew it was in my own power to ask people to call me what I wanted to be called. Names have energy, power, meaning, and offer us teachings for our lives. Ita Razel. What does the name mean? The name dictionary says Ita comes from the Celtic and means thirsty. Razel, from the Yiddish, means rose. Thirsty rose. I do thirst for meaning, sustenance, divine inspiration, renewed vision, social justice, healing, for love and affection. As a rose, I know I'm planted and rooted and require water and sun. Though I wear an occasional thorn, mostly I offer soothing comfort and cheer. Today, as I receive Smicha, I'm adopting an additional name to acknowledge the new gate I am entering. I'm taking the name Sophia. Sadi, Vav, Fe, Yud, He. For those of you who don't know the Hebrew letters well, or who need a visual, this is Ita Razel. This is Sophia. I'm taking this name, which means scout, watcher, guardian. In choosing this name, I considered several attributes. One, the strength of my childhood self that still resides in me, a pathfinder, a shomeret, and the validation of my first acknowledged encounter with the source of the universe in a pine tree forest. Second, my mother, who gave me life and the capacity to use my hands for caretaking, writing, and creating beautiful, functional objects. The first letters of my three names, Aleph, Resh, Sadi, spell the word Eretz, which speaks to my activism, my core. Sophia transforms my mother's name, Sipora, by removing the Resh, the Rasha, the negativity, and replacing it with Yud, hand, and Yah, the breath of life. Sophia brings about a tikkun for my mother, who transitioned 30 years ago this month, after a long bout of suffering from MS. On this day of transformation, I envision my new name, Ita Rezold Sophia, renewed as strength, as a shomeret, a guardian of all those who I encounter who are ill, especially those that I am ministering to on my new career as a hospice chaplain. We all stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. If we're going to climb up life's spiral to connect with the heart and soul of the universe, we must examine our names, understand their power, and transform them when necessary. May you be blessed to find the name to express who you are, so you may step through the gates of transformation in your own life and be a beacon for those who come after you.
I feel so full. Standing here in front of the burning bush, my heart is on fire. I look in awe at all of you. All I can see is the haze of love. I'm so grateful. But it has not been always like this. Among the moments of aha, the holy chavruta, the sweetness and the friendship, in times of hester panim, concealment of God's face, the journey was filled with godless, with questioning, even feelings of inadequacy. Thank God for my beloved Mashpia, who once told me that the smikhah is a formal permission to learn more. It gave me the holy chutzpah to continue. You see, I come from the void of the Holocaust, of a family gone never to return, of memories that want to be forgotten, of the need to survive no matter what, and to move on. Move, strive, accomplish, because freedom is just around the corner. Live for the sake of being alive. I also come from the void of no thing, of unbounded eternal awareness, alive with beauty and knowingness, with dat and tiferet. That holy place where the shadows are redeemed and transmuted into the light, the place of just being. When was it that I understood that there is no brokenness without wholeness, no emptiness without fullness? Was it when my father, Shlomo Frank, who survived Auschwitz, then dedicated the rest of his life to remembering? Or when as a young child, I lost him to cancer? Was it when I gave birth to my two beautiful children? Or when I first heard the voice of God in my heart, and I burst out laughing deeply in utter bliss, knowing beyond doubt that everything is filled with God's glory. And at the same time, it is nothing at all. My exodus, my journey of liberation, is fueled by the smoking ashes of the past and the holy light of a glorious future. A vision of a world in which no one has to go through what my parents, Zichronam Livracha, had to go through. A world in which everyone awakens and remembers that we are all children of God, and Creator and creation are one. want to dedicate my life and my rabbinate to this vision. And I ask you, Ribono Shel Olam, Ana Hoshiana, Ana Aseh Shalom Aleinu, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישמעאל, ועל כל העולם. And let us say, Amen.
Oh, let me be an open-hearted man. Oh, let me be an open-hearted woman. Oh, let me be the one who understands. Oh, let me be the one who's filled with wisdom. A woman went to her rabbinic pastor to ask how she could cultivate a heart of wisdom. Her teacher said, once in a time beyond time, there was a woman who was visited each day for 6 days by an angel. The angel handed her a bag and said, keep what is yours and give the rest away. After the angel vanished, she went through the bag, finding it was filled with exquisite jewels. Rubies, emeralds, pearls, items of gold and silver. She looked through all these jewels. She found nothing that she recognized as her own. Who could merit, who could be worthy of such gifts? She thought and she thought. On the first day, she gave to the rabbis by virtue of their piety. The angel seemed not so satisfied. So she gave to the scribes for their holy work. The angel was even less happy. She thought and she thought, who could be worthy of these incredible jewels? Daily, the angel was becoming more disgruntled. The woman was becoming more and more anxious about her choices. She gave to the poor. She gave to healers. She gave to members of the Chevra Kadisha, the Holy Burial Society. On the 6th day, the angel exploded. Take what is yours and give the rest away. Terrified, she ran out of the house. She gave to everyone randomly without a thought. For the first time, she felt a feeling of lightheartedness as she returned home. And there, she found one more object in the bag. She lifted it up. A locket, a gold locket. She opened it, and there she saw a beautiful portrait of herself. And so she placed the locket around her neck, knowing that it was hers to keep. You see, Miriam, said the teacher, when you know what to keep as yours and what to give away, and when you have given up judging your own worthiness and the worthiness of others, then you will have acquired a heart of wisdom. Oh, let us be open-hearted men. Oh, let us be open-hearted women. Oh, let us be the ones who understand. Oh, let us be the ones who are filled with wisdom.
stand on the edge of a beautifully woven nest. Each strand so carefully placed and brought through from threaded silvers, golds, blues, reds, purples, greens, yellows, shimmering in the light of sun and moon. My feet embrace the rim, each toe holding firm and strong, waiting for the moment of release when the breeze passes by, wafting upward, outward, away. Yet, always a waiting embrace left behind. Nourishing souls, sharing the knowledge of the work of past lives, and passing this on from one to the next, one at a time, carefully, lovingly, from one to the next. Then taking up the thread to gently hand on to the next, and the next. A dance. Building the nest for those to come to be taught, nurtured, then encouraged to climb to the rim, waiting for wind to lift wings and take flight. Each soul we teach, each light we light, each breeze which lifts each day, each night. At dawn, at dusk, throughout all time, praising Yah. Thankful for this moment when the Ruach comes to lift me from the rim. Sorry. And I soar to you, O gracious host, to be part of all that is, was, and will be. It is my time. The Baal Shem Tov traveled to bring healing, a teaching, one at a time. May I find the way to bring light into the dark, hope, vision, connection, loved by an unending love.
Based on a midrash on the burning bush, Reb Shohama wrote that God appears to us in the way that we need to be reached. I wonder, what are the ways that you, God, have reached out to me? People have always told me that I was complex and deep and introspective. People have also always told me that I was flighty, artistic, creative, as if these artistic, creative, and flighty always went hand in hand. I suppose that on the surface my facets appear to be opposites. Opposite parts that together comprise my whole. As we are created in your image, Yah, B'Tselem Elohim, you gently reveal yourself as we discover yet another facet of ourselves. Each facet, each revelation, a call to see you, to hear you, and to know you. Yet, I was there. Throughout the generations, I was there. And I wonder, Yah, how many times have you called and I did not hear? a translucent mist I floated and mingled with the Ruach as Shifra and Pua defied the darkness. ותראינה המילדות את האלוהים ולא עשו כאשר דיבר אליהן מלך מצרים ותחיינה את הילדים. And the midwives feared Hashem and did not do as Pharaoh commanded them to do. I hovered silently in the bulrushes as you nudged the princess forward towards the waters and the crying babe. I felt the Shekhinah and shed a tear as she softened the barren heart and placed the Hebrew babe between her breasts. Still, I did not hear. I saw it all. Too little, too much, unable to fill the void, screaming, longing, grasping, asking, where were you? And why? You beckoned. As a longing in my heart, you beckoned. I know that now. You reached out. You were in this place deep inside my soul, and I did not know it. But then, for all the generations I was there, observing, silent, shedding my tears in the ashes. I was there. And then, Moshe, I see you strike and I whisper, run, for Hashem will call. ויבוא אל הר האלוהים חורבה, אל הר האלוהים הוא בא. Moshe, you have arrived at God's mountain. God's mountain. You called out to Moshe twice as he turned to gaze at the wonder before him, barefoot and humble. And I floated in the translucent haze of the sneh. ויקרא אליו אלוהים מתוך הסנה ויאמר משה, משה. ויאמר, הנני, here I am. And so the angel of God reached out and called, Avraham, Avraham. And he answered, Hineni, here I am. Twice your angel called Avraham's name, and twice you called to Moshe. And each heard, Har HaElohim. I hear him now, You have sent my own Shifra and Pur. I was hidden not in the bulrushes, but under Shekhinah's wings. In the forest and under the ground. My journey has been long. And even as I ask, why am I here? Why me? Why was I spared and not the other babes? And am I worthy? I hear you calling. I have arrived at Har Elohim, and I am ready to answer. Hineni. Reb Zalman, I say yes.
We had a song, we had a poem. Now we have in Biblio Drama. This is one-act Bible play for two participants, but one actress. It is said that we all carry in us some part of the Torah, from the Torah's biblical figures. And that is, excuse excuse me. And that at some time during our lives, we'll have a similar experience to those described in the Torah. The following passage, Moses, experience reflects in a way my own. So forgive the chutzpah when I exchange Moses' name with mine, which is Miri. Miri, Hineni. Since you left Egypt, you have been hiding. You keep your eyes on the ground to avoid seeing what's happening around you and in your heart. But you very well know that you cannot hide from me nor from yourself. Open your eyes and see the fire. See the fire in the bush? And the bush is not consumed. Lo ukal, not consumed. Lo ukal. As Jeremiah the prophet said, it was like a raging fire in my heart, shut up in my bones. I could not hold it. I was helpless. Lo uchal. Miri, my voice comes from the heart of the fire in the bush in front of you, and from the heart within you. I knew that your heart was ready and filled with passion and commitment despite your efforts to hide and ignore them. But when I called, you responded, Hinani, here I am. I'm eager, I'm ready. Here I am, I'm eager, I'm ready. But am I ready? Who am I to become a rabbi? People around me, God, are going to ask, why do you think that you heard the divine call? God, did you hear my English pronunciation or my grammar? What if the community wants a professional singer or one who plays the guitar? Please, please send someone else. בי אדוני שלח נא ביד תשלח. You and Moshe, excuses. You know very well who sent you. You know that it's not about English, Hebrew grammar, or pronunciation. No, it is about professional singing voices. It's certainly not about guitars. There were no hints. It's about following your passionate heart. What comes from the heart reaches the heart. I will be with you wherever you go. And look at all these errands around you. Your teachers, your mashpi'im, your chevra and your family. Seeing you here today, they are rejoicing in their heart. I assure you that they will be with you whenever you need them. And never forget that I'll be who I'll be, regardless of the name you choose to call me. I'm always betocham, inside, around them, within you, and among all of you. And now, Miri, al tir'i, do not fear. Lechi lach. Go to the place that I will show you. And I hope to be a blessing. Thank you.
Another story. One day, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Sholem Dovber Schneerson, and one of his chassidim were having a conversation. The student asked, Rebbe, what's a chassid? The Rebbe answered, a chassid is a street lamp lighter. A lamplighter has a long pole with fire at the tip. Every night, no matter the weather, he goes from lamp to lamp, kindling each one with the fire. The chassid asked, "But what if the lamp is in a desolate wilderness?" The Rebbe answered, "He must light that one too." "But what if the lamp is in the midst of an ocean?" "Then he must jump into the water and light it there." "And that is a chassid?" The Rebbe said, "Yes, that is a chassid. To be a chassid is to be a lamplighter, a person who goes around lighting up souls." In the Torah story, we find Moshe standing in awe at the burning bush. In that instant of prophetic initiation, Moses understands how all things are aflame with the Spirit of God, even an ordinary bush. To me, this revelation is a metaphor for the inner spirit awakening to its unique place and mission in the world. My inner spirit got its wake-up call 10 years ago to be a lamplighter through building loving, conscious communities wherever I go, and yes, even now, in paradise, my wilderness home in the middle of the ocean. I invite you now to listen to the words of Rav Kook. In every life, in all existence, lies a spark, an inner light. Seek the light in the darkness. Holy ember, burning bright. Seek the light in the darkness. Feel the love in every heart. Sing to life and to beauty. Flame is born from the spark. Yehior, Yehior, Yehior,
Why 2 rabbinic ordinations? It's a good question, really. And it's one that I've often been at a loss to answer. Maybe not such a good sign for a rabbi, no? Maybe. Why 2? Really, what was the point? What does Aleph add? Well, logically, it never made much sense. Redundant. Expensive. Fringe. Essential. So I stand today here, needing to ask, what does it mean to be ordained as an aspiring Rebbe when you're already a rabbi? What does one receive with our teachers and our Hebra that's unique? And what really defines a good question anyway? Or a good reason. What's a good reason to go to rabbinic school? What's a good reason to study Torah? Of course, the soul knows and gravitates toward the truth. And if you listen and work on minimizing the resistance, good things, God things happen. So it seems that the definition of a good reason itself has to go through its own paradigm shift. And just like integral halakha, new criteria have to be invited into the conversation. To reach a destination, that has integrity with Kedusha, holiness, which is, after all, our highest aspiration and God's will. So to aspire to be a Rebbe, good, even crucial, becomes the ability to see our tradition through the prism of the light that is paradigm shift. Because it's that expansive light that allows the wisdom, the core, at the essence of our tradition to warm and illuminate the dark, aching corners. And it's that expansive light that illuminates the path of a Jewish life consistent with our place in God's glorious creation and the way our system of Torah was originally designed to light our way. So what does it mean to be an aspiring Rebbe when you're already a rabbi? It means that in addition to looking and inquiring of a holy sefer, it means to look into the eyes and inquire of the soul. It's to retire the polite and professional relationship with God and cultivate mystery. It's restoring the language of wonder, of love, of awe, of connection to eternity into the vocabulary and the prayers of our people. And maybe in the end, it means that after your name, instead of letters, there's an asterisk. An asterisk, which is like a hyperlink, that starts at, includes, and transcends the linear page, and travels into other physical and metaphysical, multi-dimensional realms. Why two? It's my answer for today, and I'm sticking with it.
Wave of ancient Hebrew foremothers. 6 women who embody what King Solomon called Torat Imenu, the Torah of our mothers, each of whom acted courageously to do what she knew was right, listening to that still small voice within, thereby changing the course of our history. As a midwife, I always loved this parsha. As a woman about to become a rabbi, I am inspired by the lessons of the mothers, which are as important and relevant today as they were 3,300 years ago. Shifra and Pua, the midwives, by definition, women of power, were filled with divine awe. Vatir'ena hamiyaldot, vatachayena et hayeladim. They were the holy renegades who started the revolution at enormous personal risk by lying to Pharaoh and refusing to kill the Hebrew baby boys. The wise women, Yocheved and Miriam, Moshe's mother and sister, protected Moshe as a baby and saw to it that he was nourished and raised by his own mother and inculcated with Hebrew values from the breast. Batya, Pharaoh's daughter, whose name means the daughter of God, defied her powerful father, heard Moshe crying in the river, Vatachmol alav. She felt compassion for him and rescued him and hugged and kissed and loved him as if he were her own. Zipporah, Moshe's Gevuritic Midianite princess wife, picked up a rock and took quick action to save Moshe's life. You know what that is. I connect with our ancient mothers and with our tribe through time and space by living with intention through Torah and mitzvot. As the setting sun is preceded by a wave of sacred feminine fire, encircling the globe from east to west and welcoming the Shabbat Queen. At that moment, I am one with my family around the world and for all time. When I think of the beautiful golden chain of generations of Jewish women before me, all the way back to these 6 ancient foremothers, and forward to the dream of future great-great-grandchildren and grand-students, all benching licht and bringing in the beauty and essence of Shabbat. King David teaches us, limnot yameinu, to count our days, appreciate our days. As Yitz would say, treasure each day. I am so thrilled and honored and humbled to be here in this moment with all of you. And I am so sad that for vastly different and tragic reasons, 2 of the rabbis who most influenced me on this path are not with us today. Although, I think Rabbi is here. Isaiah said, Af bal nita'u, af bal zora'u, af bal shoresh ba'aretz giz'am, v'gam nashaf bahem v'yivashu, usa'ara kakash tisa'im. Or, in the words of the poet Robert Hunter, the seeds that were silent will burst into bloom and decay. Life is short. The times are historic. As our country inaugurates a new era, and many see the beginnings of our own national and planetary paradigm shift, may we honor Torat Imenu by stoking and feeding the God field with wisdom, awe, compassion, courage, strength, and holy chutzpah, savoring each precious moment and always remaining attuned to the still, small voice within.
My task today, quite obviously, is to tease out and retrieve and perhaps even rescue from our text that which is concealed deep within, the divine masculine. Now, don't worry. I have come not to bury Shekhinah consciousness, but to praise her. To praise her by giving her a partner in the divine masculine. Now, after all, what is more masculine than the pasuk, the passage in our parsha this week, that begins, Vayigdal Moshe vayetze el achav, when Moshe was grown, or perhaps became great, he went out to his brothers. Moshe then sees an Egyptian taskmaster beating a Hebrew, and in a masculine manner recalling Rambo, Rocky, and Charlton Heston, Moshe Makeh strikes down the menacing taskmaster. Now, most of the Meforshim, the commentators, assume that the brothers whom Moshe went out to are the Hebrews. But one, Ibn Ezra, says, no, Moshe's brothers were the Egyptians. Now, if Moshe's brothers are the oppressed Hebrews, and he shows the courage by standing up for them, kol hakavod. But if Moshe's brothers are the taskmasters, and Moshe strikes at them, at his own brothers, this is even more remarkable, showing Moshe's deep and abiding sense of justice, his commitment to a justice that transcends his genealogy, as he understands it to be, taking on the potential wrath of his own people. It is perhaps because of this courage that the text says, Vayigdal Moshe, Moshe became great. This past November, I had the privilege of going with Rabbis for Human Rights, out among my Jewish brothers in Sderot, who had Qassam missiles coming at them, and throughout the West Bank, where some of my Jewish brothers are the menacing taskmasters. I walked the abandoned market street of Hebron, where Palestinian shops are bolted closed by soldiers to protect the shopkeepers from the settlers. I saw the stars of David and Amcha Yisrael spray-painted on the doors of Palestinian homes. It's quite comfortable to stand with my brothers in Sderot, but much more challenging to strike at my brothers in Hebron by publicly exposing what I have seen there, by saying that as much as I love Israel, I cannot abide why some of my brothers are the taskmasters. Here, my friends, is where I find the masculine in the text. Being strong, not like Rambo, but like Israel's prophets, and like those who are willing to act upon Torah's central command that we must love the stranger because we were strangers in Mitzrayim and Egypt. And the divine masculine requires we go further yet by acknowledging that Moshe's brothers and ours are both the Hebrews and the Egyptians. On this occasion of my smikhah, I embrace the divine masculine and fully accept the mitzvah, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love the other as yourself, and commit to try to always operate from that place. And then, all that has divided us will merge. And then, compassion will be wedded to power. And then, softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then, women and men will be gentle and strong. Please rise.
And then,
both men and women will be gentle, and then,
For some strange reason, all 10 of us have imagined at one point or another of revelation that receiving smikhah is part of this journey. At our own personal bush, burning bush, we heard the call, and now here we are. Burning bush is behind us, and Mashiach consciousness is pulling us into deeper and deeper future. We all share the longing for God to become a living presence in every moment of our lives. We know that Hashem is karov lechol korav. Hashem is close to all who call upon her, to all who call upon Him in truth. What a blessing to be here and now. And what a better way to bring in Mashiach consciousness than by having Rabbi Zalman's blessing.
When you gave the zest with yes, I want to say never. Oi. Oi. Because you took on a real rape. I remember once there was a friend who asked me, why don't you like me more? Why don't you spend more time with me? And I said, it's because you don't want to pull the wagon with me. Because it is work to shift consciousness for people who didn't understand that there is a pnimiyut, an inner part to Judaism. They only saw the outer part of Judaism. And so the first thing I want to say, I'm so delighted to be your Talmud. It was so good to learn from each one of you. and I want to give you a broche, that the eyes of the people to whom you will be, the ears of the people to whom you will be speaking in the future should be as open as the ears of the people who were here, all around. And you should never feel, oi, what's the use of talking to them? They're asleep. It's amazing that 2:45 in the afternoon, when it's a good nap time, we are so awake to hear what you have to say. So first I'm going to say something to them, and then I'll come back to you, okay? How will you reinforce in these people their rabbinate? You know them from before. You have an easy way of ignoring this afternoon. You could say, you're the same you were before. So I want to say, no, please, no. I'm getting really samished whenever there's a big flash, and then I say, what was I going to say? So it is really important for you to recognize that story. You may have heard me tell it before. The president and the vice president of the shul go by the rabbi's office. And the rabbi is sitting over a Gemara and studying. And the vice president says to the president, I thought we got a finished one. So I hope you'll never be finished, yeah? But as far as you are concerned, the rabbi function depends. Rabbi is a relationship word. Just like Rebbe is a relationship word, which means Rebbe and Chassid. Rabbi means a congregant, somebody who is gathered to be with the rabbi, to hear the rabbi, to ask the rabbi questions. So you have to, what they are getting today does not have a long shelf life. If you want it to have a long shelf life, you will have to put energy in there. And when you want to meet them, even though they're your friends, I'll want to talk to you as a rabbi. You know what difference that will make? And all the buddy stuff can go away. And the person who is the rabbi can say, am I plugged in or not? I want to tell you a strange story. I came to see the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he didn't admit me a couple of times. And the third evening, he admitted me, and he excused himself and said, the one you came to see the other nights wasn't here. Can you understand that? You will never be happy with what your rabbi offers you if you don't give him a warning that you want him to do the rabbiing. Because rabbis are not, it's not like a skin over them. It's a function. And in order to function well in that function, you have to give notice. I want you to serve me in that function. Now what does that mean? That you have to create a support system. I used to come out to Fellowship House Farm, and I would schlep chairs and stuff around, and people wanted to give me the Shalom Aleichem Rabbi, I'm so glad to see you, and I would say, sorry, you're talking to the shamus now. Do you understand? You have to give the person the chance to get into that function, to become the rabbi for you, and you have to put yourself in the function that you say, I come, just like they were saying, Ba'ati b'mgilat sefer katuv alai lasot retzoncha lahai chapatzti. I came with a scroll written for me. I want to do your will, O God, and therefore I'm turning to you, Rabbi, to help me discern the will of God for my life, and that's important. So now, what I needed to tell you, I told you before. But right now I want to say that you have to keep charging it up every time. The iPod will not hold the energy unless you plug it in every day.
L'shem yichud kudsha brichush kintei.
L'shem yichud kudsha brichush kintei.
Al dat hamakom, al dat
kilatenu.
Anu masmichim etchem lechahen kerabanim b'Yisrael.
אנו מסמיכים אתכם לכהן כרבנים בישראל.
להורות תורה לרבים ורבים.
להורות תורה לרבים ורבים.
ולברר דין אמת לתיקון השכינה.
ולברר דין אמת לתיקון השכינה.
כשם שמינו אותנו המסמיכים שלנו.
כשם שמינו אותנו המסמיכים שלנו.
כן ממנים אנחנו אתכם.
כן ממנים אנחנו אתכם.
להיות שליחים לעם ישראל.
להיות שליחים לעם ישראל.
למסור להם את דבר השם.
למסור להם את דבר השם.
דבר השם הבא אלינו בזמן הזה.
דבר השם הבא אלינו בזמן הזה.
ותהי ידכם כידינו.
ותהי ידכם כידינו.
ועשייתכם כעשייתנו.
ועשייתכם כעשייתנו.
ופיכם כפינו.
ופיכם כפינו.
ודיבורכם כדיבורנו.
ודיבורכם כדיבורנו.
ומעשה בית דינכם.
ומעשה בית דינכם.
ומעשה בית דיננו.
ומעשה בית דיננו.
וברכתכם כברכתנו.
וברכתכם כברכתנו.
לכן סמוכה לנו.
לכן סמוכה לנו.
ורבי תתקרי.
ורבי תתקרי.
להורות תורה לרבים.
להורות תורה לרבים.
כדת משה, מרים וישראל.
כדת משה, מרים וישראל.
In the name of Yah, the God of Israel, and for the sake of the unification of the Holy Blessed One and the Shekhinah, with the consent of God and the consent of our community, herewith we ordain you to officiate as rabbis in Israel, to publicly teach Torah to many, and to discern and pronounce in ways that make a tikkun for the Shekhinah. We hereby appoint you as our delegates and emissaries, just as those who appointed us, delegated us, and sent us to be rabbis. And thus you are now ordained as rabbis and teachers. May your hands be like ours, your decree like our decrees, your rabbinic acts valid like ours, your adjudication like our adjudication, your blessings like our blessings. And so we ordain you and call you rabbi to teach publicly according to the path set out by Moshe, Miriam, and the people of Israel.
בשם אדוני אלוהי ישראל.
בשם אדוני אלוהי ישראל.
ובשם ייחוד קודשא בריחו שכינתי.
ובשם ייחוד קודשא בריחו שכינתי.
על דעת המקום ועל דעת קהילתנו.
על דעת המקום ועל דעת קהילתנו.
הננו מסמיכים אתכם.
הננו מסמיכים אתכם.
לכהן כשליחותא דרבנן.
לכהן כשליחותא דרבנן.
ללמוד וללמד תורה לעם השם.
ללמוד וללמד תורה לעם השם.
לשמשם בצורכי היהדות.
לשמשם בצורכי היהדות.
לתומכם וליעצם בדרכי התורה והשלום.
לתומכם וליעצם בדרכי התורה והשלום.
לנחמם באבלם ולשמחם בשמחתם.
לנחמם באבלם ולשמחם בשמחתם.
והננו ממלאים את ידכם.
והננו ממלאים את ידכם.
יחד עם רבנים מומחים יועצים לעזור.
יחד עם רבנים מומחים יועצים לעזור.
בכל מיני מעשי בית דין.
ותהיה לבכן כליבנו ופיכן כפינו. ברכתכן כברכתנו. ויהי רצון שתתברכו בהצלחה רבה. ושהשם יתברך ישלם שכרכם. בבר י' גופה ונהור על מעליה. ויקוים בכם. למען ירבו ימיכם ובני בניכם על האדמה. אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותיכם לתת לכם. כי ימי השמיים על הארץ.
In the name of Yah, the God of Israel, and for the sake of the unification of the Holy Blessed One and the Shekhinah, with the consent of God and the consent of our community, herewith we ordain you to serve as a rabbinic pastor, to study and teach Torah to God's people, to minister to them, to support and counsel them in the ways of Torah and peace, to console them in their bereavements, and to rejoice with them in their joyous occasions. We hereby empower you to work in harmony with your rabbinic advisors, and to serve as an emissary in all kinds of rabbinic actions. Thus may your heart be in harmony with ours, your word be in harmony with our word, your blessing as potent as our blessings. May it be God's will that you be blessed with great success, and that God will reward you with robust health of body and enlightened spirit. Thus will be fulfilled you the promise, in order that your days and the days of your children be many on this earth, that God has promised to your parents, so that you might live heavenly days right here on this earth.
In our hotel, we're very blessed to have a Rodef Shalom, somebody who's been a pursuer of peace for the last 40 years in many of our lives. And you'll see him roaming around the halls, and you'll say, I think I see the visage of Richie Havens walking around. And so Magida Eve Ilson last night had the divine inspiration that he really is a Rodef Shalom and we should ordain him today. So Rabbi Zalman, he's following the Ruach HaKodesh, got up early this morning and created the certificate. And with the blessings of all the teachers here, we are blessing him. He's probably still at a radio show right now. He was going to possibly come, so you may see him come in. Richie, are you here? Are you here? Okay, he's not here, but this is what we're reading to him. We're honoring him today as Reverend Richie Havens, who has over the last 3 decades devoted himself to peacemaking and has served as ecumenical bridge between the children of our Mother the Earth by opening people's hearts with his songs, and he has been received by those who met him, people of all different religions and nationalities, as a peacemaker, as a Rodef Shalom, and it's signed and created by Reb Zalman and by many of us who've signed this before. So, l'chaim. So when you see him, please call him Reverend Richie.
V'asar etchem al kanfei nesharim, v'avi etchem elai. I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to me. Shmot 19:4. Ki mi goy gadol asher lo Elohim krovim elav, ki ya Eloheinu b'chol kar'enu elav. For who else is such a great nation that has God so near to it as Yah our God in all our calling? From Devarim 4:7. We are the people called from the slavery of Egypt, carried on the wings of Shekhinah, to be among those in this world who witness to the presence of the divine in this world. According to Pirkei Avot, Moshe received Torah at Sinai and transmitted it to Yehoshua who in turn transmitted Torah to the elders, who transmitted Torah to the prophet, to the men of the Great Assembly. Over time, this linear transmission, the laying on of hands, Smicha, from one generation of men to another, became diffused as we wandered, spread out over the world, and as the number of our teachers who nourished disciples grew. For many, being a rabbi eventually became a degree, a measure of the intellectual mastery of a body of material which in turn conferred power and authority. For us, being a rabbi acknowledges belonging to a lineage and expresses a willingness to serve others as a model and guide of spiritual practice and development in this moment of a great shifting of paradigms. Today, we welcomed our latest initiates into the new lineage of Jewish spiritual renewal, drawing deeply on the wisdom of those who have preceded us, and particularly on the devotional mystics of Eastern European Hasidism. This lineage, given first expression and form by our beloved Rabbi Zalman Schachter-Shalomi. Now, in our time, we lay hands of smikhah, of trust and confidence, on both women and men equally, with loving respect for multiple possibilities of sexual orientation and life choices. This is in keeping with our commitment to voluntary negotiation with the dynamic, ever-fluctuating balance between individual practice and communal cohesion. According to the lineage of Pirkei Imahot, I wonder what it'll mean when I can read this without breaking up. Miriam received Torah at Sinai and passed it to Machla, Noah, Chagla, Milcah, and Tirzah, the daughters of Tzalafcha, who passed it to Devorah, who gave it to Hannah, who passed it to Michal bat Shaul, eventually received by Bruria and transmitted to Chana Rachel of Ludomeria, Regina Jonas of Berlin, and now surfacing again to walk side by side and share the light equally with the parallel lineage of men with which we began. We are humbly grateful for this moment of living in the fulfillment of our age-old dream. May the light of the moon be like the light of the sun and the light of the 7 days of creation. May the lights of men and women in all their multiple, varied, and wonderful forms grow ever stronger in the bond of open partnership and service to the one. Amen.
Amen. Above us, below, behind, we stand in a great web of being joined together. Let us praise, let us love the life we are lent, passing through us in the body of Israel and our own bodies. Let us say, Amen. Amen. Time flows through us like water. The past and the dead speak through us. We breathe out our children's children, blessing. Blessed is the earth from which we grow. Blessed the life we are lent. Blessed the ones who teach us. Blessed the ones we teach. Blessed is the word that cannot say, the glory that shines through us and remains to shine, flowing past distant suns on the way to forever. Let's say, Amen. Amen. Blessed is light. Blessed is darkness. But blessed above all else is peace, which bears the fruits of knowledge on strong branches. Let's say, Amen. Peace that bears joy into the world. Peace that enables love. Peace over Israel everywhere. Blessed and holy is peace. And let us say, Amen.
So we end as we began. We begin in some endings and move on from that. And as we were all invoked before, that we are not just guests, but that we are witnesses. So our tradition offers us to seal something that's particularly special by thanking God for bringing us to this day. But our tradition also teaches that when one says a Shehechianu, it needs to be for something that will not only be for one time. That we should only say Shehechianu when we know we will come back to it again and appreciate it in some way. So too may this blessing be a sealant, a chatimah, a save as in your hearts, so that you lose none of the information that's been passed in this moment in time. And as Reb Zalman reinforced for us, that none of us lose our roles in helping raise them up and keep raising them. And by doing so, continuing to find the depth part of our own soul. And so I invite us all to stand as we chant the Shehechianu as was given to me by my grandfather in all its ongoing complexity. Just when you think it's over, it's not. Just like your learning and your teaching. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'ehyanu v'hirmanu v'higyanu lazman Yanu Viki Manu Viki Aros Manaza Shaka Yanu Viki Manu Viki Aros Manaza Shaka Yanu Viki Manu Viki Aros Manaza Yanu Viki Manu Viki Aros Manaza Shaka Yanu Viki Manu Viki Aros Manaza Shaka Yanu Viki Manu Viki Aros Manaza Hashem b'simcha, Yigdol Hashem b'simcha, Olefanav dirnana, Olefanav dirnana. Yigdol Hashem b'simcha, Yigdol Hashem b'simcha, Olefanav dirnana, Yigdol Hashem b'simcha, Yigdol Hashem b'simcha, Olefanav dirnana, Olefanav dirnana.
So Richie, we ordained you a few minutes ago. You weren't here. You're now Reverend Richie, and so seriously, we've ordained you as what you already are. We just acknowledge you as what's called a Rodef Shalom, one who doesn't just want peace, but goes after peace. So you've inspired us to be Rodef Shaloms as well, to go after, and we inspire you to really feel the shlemut, the wholeness inside yourself that you already have. God bless you. Thank you. Yes, we'll read it again. Okay. So our Reb Zalman, are you here? Is Reb Zalman still here? Okay. So our teacher wrote this early this morning for you, but acknowledging. Would you read this, please? This was Eve's idea last night. You can't. Okay, no problem. Okay, Reverend Richie Havens, singer and peacemaker extraordinaire, has over the last 3 decades devoted himself to peacemaking and has served as ecumenical bridge between the children of our Mother the Earth by opening people's hearts with his songs. And he has been received by those who met him, people of all different religions and nationalities, as a peacemaker.